Thank you for taking the time and joining us here today. Being the writer, the director, what inspired you to write this story and how did you really come up with it?
Yeah, the story, it comes from many years of watching. My brother Eddie was physically, mentally disabled. He couldn't do much. Actually, the one thing he could do is when you'd put a spoonful of any kind of food to his mouth, he could open his mouth. That was the extent of what my brother Eddie could do. So it was many years of watching this symbiotic relationship between my mom and Eddie. And, up until her late 70s, she was lifting him out of the shower, out of bed, into the wheelchair, brushing his teeth, watching TV, but they had this very loving relationship together. It's very beautiful. And the second half of the story, I lost my sister Margie to cancer in 2018. She left behind her daughter, my niece Sarah, who has Angelman syndrome. And the easiest way for me to describe it is Sarah, she has the mental capacity of maybe a 1-year-old. So she lights up a room with her smile, but she's also very difficult. If she sees cake on a table somewhere, she'll pull that tablecloth and everything will come crashing down. So it's very difficult to watch. And so it was sort of a relationship between those two. And the story's fictitious, of course, but there are many aspects of both my mom and my sister in this film.
You did mention that it was hard, right? Because you originally you interviewed and went for all of these actresses. So how did you go for this movie particularly? How did you go about finding the right son and the right father to play for these roles? Like, how did that casting process go versus what you went through earlier?
Yeah, very difficult, especially to find actors with disabilities because that pool is so small. Mm-hmm. So my casting director, Russell Boast, that was the first task, is if we could find Billy's the character in the film, if we could find my Billy, then everything else will find the parent of Billy after that. So everything sort of hinged on, because I wrote this complex character and I didn't even know if we could find the right person to play it because they needed to have a disability. And Cole, my casting director brought Cole to us and he was fantastic from the start. We found him, Lance Kinsey. He's best known from the Police Academy films, but he was in a short film of mine and he just was fantastic to work with.
And, when it comes to the title of the film, so what kind of inspired you to come up with that title? I know that he, learns to bag and he's trying to learn these skills. So how did you come up with that concept?
It's funny, the original title was Between the Aisles, and it seemed too poetic. And titles are very important. That's the first thing people see, and it's what's going to resonate. So we spent, honestly, years to make the film and years to come up with the title. So we kept going back and forth, and it was a plan in a paper bag. Between the Aisles, a plan in a paper bag. But then we liked a plan in a paper bag more than Between the Aisles. So eventually my wife and I just kept spitballing over and over, and we just landed on the paper bag plan. And it sounds so obscure that I think it might catch people. And I think it sticks with people a little bit better than, say, the original title, Between the Aisles. I don't think.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for, taking the time, sharing this inspirational story with us. We can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much.